This episode is proudly supported by Crunch. Running a hospitality business isn't for the faint-hearted. Between ordering stock, scheduling rosters, paying bills, motivating your team, and keeping customers happy, there's a lot on your plate. It's no surprise that business planning often gets put on the back burner. Well, here's something that can help. Introducing Crunch, a new app to help simplify the business side of hospo. With Crunch, you get access to practical, bite-sized education, proven strategies, and a supportive community of hospo owners just like you. When it comes to the Crunch, if you're looking for proven ways to build a successful, sustainable business, Crunch has you covered. Try Crunch now. To get 14 days free, just head to crunchhospo.com.au.
What really gets me out of bed is just having a future of wild seafood for our kids and their kids in the future.
Kate Lamason is the owner of Little Tuna, a sustainable tuna preserving business based in Cairns, North Queensland. Little Tuna is an extension of her family's long-standing tuna fishing operations, which have been a part of the region's fishing industry for years. Kate's passion for preserving the quality and integrity of tuna has led her to innovate new ways of processing and packaging, ensuring the freshest product reaches customers. With a focus on sustainability and local sourcing, Little Tuna reflects Kate and the Lamason's family dedication to both tradition and forward thinking.
So my name is Kate Lamason and I'm located in North Queensland in Cairns. So I'm the owner of Little Tuna. So we are the first Australian tuna to hit our supermarket shelves. So we use sustainably caught Australian tuna and pair it with quality Australian ingredients. So we've got 5 flavours and they're sold online nationally as well as available in over 170 stores across Australia. We started Little Tuna, it was probably about 9 years ago. I still remember standing in my kitchen and I was making what we call the famous Lamason tuna dip. I had a tin of tuna that I was putting into the recipe and I held it up and in my head I thought that my husband, who's a tuna fisherman, had caught this fish and I felt quite proud. And it was at that point that Rowan, my husband, actually told me that's not my fish and there is no Australian tuna in Cairns that Australians can consume. And I still remember feeling quite shocked. I honestly didn't believe him, considering how much tuna is on our shelves in our supermarkets. And it was at that point that I said, well, we're not going to eat it unless it's your tuna. And he agreed with me. So we started making our own out of a need for us as a family to consume Australian sustainable tuna. It wasn't long before we realised we weren't alone with that. And there's a huge population of Australians who want to eat Australian tuna as well.
The Lamason family, particularly doyen Bob Lamason, is deeply rooted in the history of the East Coast Australian tuna fishery. Bob, one of the great pioneers of the industry, helped shape its development through his dedication and expertise, laying the foundation for sustainable fishing practices that continue to influence the sector today.
So the Lamason family pioneered tuna fishing off the coast of Cairns some 35 years ago. They had a fleet of up to 13 boats operating out of Cairns and fishing in the Coral Sea. Back then it was quite fairly under-regulated, so industry moved fast and expansion was quite large. But now because of regulations and restrictions, we're down to 2 vessels that we work with. So Rowan, having it in his family, in his blood, he jumped on board a fishing boat pretty much as soon as he could. He then loved the industry, loved fishing and was quite good at it, still is. So he started tuna fishing himself, and him and his brother were some of the youngest skippers and by far some of the best in the industry.
Kate Lamason's journey began as a student in Cairns, But her path evolved when she became the wife of a fisherman. Immersed in the world of tuna fishing, she transformed into an entrepreneur, founding Little Tuna to preserve and celebrate the family's legacy while championing sustainable seafood practices.
So I grew up in the Adelaide Hills in South Australia. I moved to Cairns to study accounting. Once I finished accounting, I worked in local government for 14 years. So I have a background in finance and cash management, treasury, and all things finance. It was while I was at university studying that I met Rowan, who was also doing a business degree. Coming from a recreational fishing background, we hit it off right away. He shared some pretty incredible stories about how he would head off the coast of Cairns and out in the wide open water, no one around, swimming with whale sharks and catching incredible sustainable tuna. And so after uni, we started dating. Eventually we got married. And after we started Little Tuna, I could see that the seafood industry was something that I had grown quite fond of. I felt connected to, and I too shared that passion that Rowan shared. So I jumped full-time into the seafood industry, and I now work with him with Little Tuna and with our seafood processing factory.
The journey from idea to full-scale production of preserved tuna began with the kitchen trials, where Kate Lamason experimented with traditional preserving methods to capture the essence of fresh-caught tuna. After refining the process, Little Tuna was born, growing from a small, home-based operation into a thriving business. Today, it combines artisanal techniques with modern production standards to deliver high-quality, sustainable sourced tuna to a broader market.
So it took quite a long time and quite a process to create the flavours of Little Tuna. Both Rowan and I aren't chefs, but we enjoy cooking. We knew what we wanted we knew the benchmark of what we wanted to achieve. It was really important that we showcased the quality of Australian tuna. So that was always the main point of the jars. We then tried to pair it with other ingredients and just trying to work out that perfect mix of olive oil and salt. And at one stage we added in preservatives and realised that doesn't sit well with even the way that we eat as a family. So we took that out. So it was all trial and error with, honestly, it would have been hundreds of recipes that we tried, and until we were really happy that the end result was something we were really proud of, and we felt really showcased our Australian albacore tuna.
The decline of fish canning in Australia during the 1980s marked the end of an era for local seafood preservation. However, globally, there's been a renaissance with canning, now celebrated not just as a preservation method, but as a culinary art. Artisanal producers are reviving traditional techniques, emphasising sustainability, craftsmanship and quality, transforming canned seafood into a gourmet experience appreciated by discerning consumers worldwide.
So there's not a lot of advice online how to can tuna at all, especially going into jars. And we chose a jar because the product was always going to be a high quality boutique product. It comes with that Australian made, Australian caught price tag as well. So we wanted consumers to pick a jar up, see what they're actually purchasing, and know that it is what we say it is. It's quality. There's a really big chunk of tuna in it. So it was a lot of trying to work out the right way to cook the product as well as the flavours. So cooking and canning, you need to understand how to cook it long enough to remove any of the bacteria that could be within it. So to sterilize the product and to seal the lid on as well. So there was quite a lot of back and forth and testing as well to ensure that we had sterilized the product properly. So for us, it was a lot of trial and error. It was also a lot of fun. It was quite interesting, some of the flavors that we came out with. I think sometimes we would have to create a dish that had a lot of flavor to mask our terrible recipes to consume the tuna. Otherwise, our dogs were pretty well fed with some pretty decent tuna of all of our failed recipes. But I would say it definitely took us a couple of months. It wasn't something we were doing full-time. Rowan was still fishing. I was working in local government. So we were doing it on the side and trying to create this perfect flavour that we would be proud of and that our fishers would be proud to have their product a part of.
By being vertically integrated, Little Tuna controls every step of the process, from catching to preservation. This ensures the highest quality of sustainability standards. As the family's fishing enterprise is directly linked to the production process, it allows for better traceability, consistency, and a unique connection between sea and plate.
We are really lucky to have two fishers that work with us. So they are both Lamason-owned boats. So Rowan's younger brother has a boat and Rowan's father has a boat. So we're able to, we manage the unloads of their boats and we'll send their high-value big eye yellowfin all around the world. And then that albacore fish that they catch, we take that straight into our cannery and put it in a jar. So we know how it's been caught. All Australian longliners use the same methods of longlining anyway, but our fishers and all longline fishers are so proud of their catch. They take care of it. They store it well. They understand that taking care of each fish increases quality and allows them to get the best return on their efforts.
Transitioning from catching or accounting to selling seafood was a significant shift for Kate Lamason and her family. Moving from the operational side of fishing to customer-facing roles required learning new skills, such as marketing, brand development, and customer engagement. This shift involved understanding consumer preferences and building a direct connection between the product and the marketplace, a challenge that transformed the business.
So our first sales were directly through the Lamason Seafood shop. It was there that we already had a network because of the supply of tuna locally and domestically. We started sending it out to the suppliers that we already were in contact to. We started to get a lot of really good feedback, and they were really happy to start stocking it. With Little Tuna, we have never done a big drive of stockists. The product and the stockists have grown naturally through word of mouth, and our customers are by far our biggest marketing tool. They love the product. They know what they're eating, so they constantly promote us, and they go into their health food stores and they ask their health food stores to stock us. So we have this really organic way of growing our stockists across Australia that has made it more. It's made it quite an easy process to grow. We also have an online store so that we can deliver direct to consumers' doors. That the whole process of sending tuna around Australia was quite the journey as well, getting that packaging right and working with logistics and freight companies like Australia Post to make sure that people's jars arrived intact has been quite a long journey as well. We are available across Australia entirely. I believe it's only the Northern Territory that we don't have a current stockist. But we're all the way across Australia into Tasmania. We have about maybe 17 stockists in Victoria, in like the district of Melbourne alone. We have every health food store across Cairns stock it. And then in Brisbane, we have another 15 just in there alone.
Growing an artisanal fish preserving business like Little Tuna presents unique challenges, including maintaining quality while scaling production, navigating sustainable sourcing, and competing with larger commercial brands. Balancing tradition with innovation, managing costs, and building loyal customer base in a competitive market are ongoing hurdles in preserving the craftsmanship and integrity.
Yeah, so challenges when you're manufacturing 100% Australian, it's definitely a challenge with price hikes, especially more recently. Probably the most recent one is Australia has had a low supply of olive oil, and our cost of olive oil in 6 months, a short 6 months, has increased 20%. When we get hit with increases like this, we have learnt to look at ways to sell more rather than increase pricing, so that we can keep our price increases to a minimal. The idea is to get Australian tuna on more Australian plates, not to raise the price so much that it's not within reach of Australians. So we'll look at bulk ordering. So the olive oil is definitely one that we then went out to find what other Australian suppliers are, and can we bulk order it instead of having to, I guess in a way, absorb the cost instead of having to push on price increases. And that I think all businesses feel that at the moment. Freight and logistics, I feel like every month we're getting a letter saying prices are going up again and again, and that's a challenge, and it's also a skill to how to balance that with and still remain a sustainable and a profitable business. And the other challenges that we have found is just reaching market and consumers and getting their attention, being able to introduce them to Little Tuna and provide an educational platform where consumers are aware of where their tuna is coming from. A lot of Australians we've found didn't know that there isn't any Australian tuna. And just like myself, from my experience standing in my kitchen, I still remember how shocked I was and how strange it felt that my husband was catching tuna, but we were not consuming it at all. I mean, Australia is an island. We're surrounded by water. We're surrounded by tuna. We've got the supply. So it's just, it's a really odd thing that we don't have Australian tuna.
Albacore, often called chicken of the sea, is globally recognised as one of the best fish for preserving due to its mild flavour, firm texture and high oil content. Its versatility makes it ideal for various preservation methods, from canning to curing, while its delicate taste appeals to a wide range of palates, earning it a reputation as a premium, sustainable choice for seafood preservation worldwide.
The tuna that we use it's an albacore tuna, which albacore prefer cooler water, which in North Queensland you would say our water is quite warm. So they are seasonal in North Queensland. So come December, January, February, we work with some of our fishers down the coast and use their fish in our jars so that our supply is never impacted by a seasonal change or not having the catch with two vessels. But we're an industry, the tuna industry is one where they're really focused on those high quality, high value fish. So when we say, hey, we'd love to buy your albacore tuna, everybody jumps on board. They want to see their albacore on the shelves. They're looking for a market. Being a low value fish at the moment, when the global market moves, it can really impact them to bring in a low value fish and then process it and try and sell it globally. it is worth them looking more domestically of where they can make money.
Kate Lamason has been widely recognised for her exceptional work in promoting not only Little Tuna, but also the broader tuna fishing industry. Her dedication to sustainability, innovation and quality has earned her accolades, positioning her as key advocate for artisanal seafood production and raising the profile of Australian tuna globally.
So most recently, I was very honoured to be named the 2024 Queensland AgriFutures Rural Women's Award winner. This is a huge award for women in rural Australia. I was able to take this award to the Nationals a couple of weeks ago. Although I didn't win nationally, the exposure, the network and the voice that we were given allowed us to share our story with all of Australia. So winning this award came with a lot of media attention as well. So we had the local news come through, which went national. I was featured on the Queensland Seafood magazine on the front cover. I was also able to speak to several ABC journalists and had a 6-page publication in the Galah magazine. Having this sort of exposure allows me to get the Little Tuna story out, but also promote the tuna industry of Australia and introduce our fishers that we work with. Most recently, we've created a YouTube channel and we share all of our fishers' stories on there. So being able to tell people that we have this avenue of sharing stories, they jumped on board. It increased our exposure with our social media and our website. Our sales went up so much. There was one day that they actually crashed our website. And being able to have this kind of exposure, while it increases sales, it also increases our brand awareness and the education on the whole industry. Another award that we won was the Queensland Seafood Industry Award. So I'm really excited to go to Hobart next week, actually, for the National Seafood Industry Awards, and we hope to win that one as well and continue to share the stories of our Australian fishers.
In today's competitive seafood industry, it's essential for fishing businesses to pivot into new directions to maximise the value of their catch. By diversifying into areas like processing, preserving, or direct-to-consumer sales, businesses can enhance profitability, reduce reliance on fluctuating wholesale markets, and create new opportunities for branding, sustainability and long-term growth, ensuring their future resilience.
So the future of Little Tuna, we have a lot we have a lot coming up that we hope to achieve with Little Tuna. Just recently we've added the MSC label onto our jars so that consumers are so that consumers can easily identify that our product is a sustainable product they can trust. We're quite proud to introduce a QR code that will connect the customers directly to the fishermen that caught their fish. This allows for us to provide a educational platform. So our customers will jump on this QR code, they'll get to meet their fishermen. So say it's Kyle, who's Rowan's younger brother, they'll get to have a look on his boat, understand how he fishes and show that they can see how passionate he is about what he does. He's a young family. His daughter's on his boat quite often. He's got a beautiful wife that he leaves behind in Cairns while he does his job, and he absolutely loves what he does, and he says it quite often. So it's nice to connect consumers to the fishers and see these are real people, real Australian families that they're supporting. We've also, as I mentioned, launched the YouTube channel, and we are adding a lot of footage to that's about to drop in the next couple of months. And right now we are quite conscious about the current price increasing across Australia, and people are becoming more aware of what they're spending. So we're working on a whole new range that will work with our jars still, but will be a more affordable range. And this is a huge factor to Australian families, and we hope to see that drop in the next few months as well. Long term, like in the next 5 years, I believe we need to have a mass canning factory back on shore. Back 25 years ago, when we used to can on shore, that was 10,000 jobs to Australia. So the big goal is that we bring this tuna canning back on shore, these large factories to process our Australian tuna. But in the next 12 months, what I hope to see, and I know it will happen, is I hope to see Australian tuna on our Australian supermarket shelves.
A true measure of Kate Lamason's commitment to the seafood industry is reflected not only in the success of the Little Tuna project, but also in her relentless support of the East Coast tuna fishery. She continually advocates for sustainable practices, innovation and the preservation of industry traditions, championing the future of the Australian tuna on a larger scale.
What really gets me out of bed is just having a future of wild seafood for our kids and their kids in the future. So we're very passionate about showcasing sustainability and promoting how we can provide this sustainable product, and showing that education. I don't think a lot of people realise that Australian tuna boats have cameras on board that film everything that they do. And while this is kind of a little bit, it's a little bit invasive to have somebody filming you do your job every day, we can tell consumers that our industry is completely transparent. We have cameras on board, we have vessel monitoring, we have total allowable catches, we use circle hooks, and we have a limited amount of hooks. So our guys are sitting within sustainable fishing, and that's governed by AFMA. So it's closely monitored. And the tuna fishing industry in Australia, there's actually 37 longline boats, so there's not a huge amount of longliners out there.
Kate Lamason, owner of Little Tuna, is a dynamic force in the Australian seafood industry. Building on her family's long-standing tuna fishing legacy, she's transformed Little Tuna from kitchen trials into a successful business that champions sustainability and quality. Beyond her entrepreneurial work, Kate's relentless advocacy for the East Coast tuna fishery demonstrates her deep commitment to preserving industry traditions and supporting future growth. Her passion for innovation and dedication to sustainable practices make her a shining example of the next generation of leaders, ensuring the Australian seafood industry continues to thrive. The industry is fortunate to have such visionaries.